Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring the Village Board April 14th, 2025 board meeting to order, and we need a roll call.
Karas.
Here.
Anastasio.
Here.
Bhatia.
Here.
Venturini.
Here.
Washburn.
Here.
Doxy.
Here.
DeGroot.
He's here. So the next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. So the next item on the agenda is public comment. Members of the public are welcome to provide comments on any matter. Please fill out a comment form. The president will recognize you. Use the microphone, state your name and address for the public record. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. I have nobody signed up. Do you have anybody? No. Anybody? Nobody? Not a lot of attendance in the chambers tonight. Anybody wishing to speak for the good? No? Okay. So in that case, we will dispense with public comment and move on to the next item, which is the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Mr. President, I accept for me item number 1 because I wasn't here on March 24th meeting.
Okay, so if the clerk could make that notation, that trustee Ram is recusing himself from the first item. So from here, we've got a number of public works items. A, discussion possible motion to award the contract for the 2025 paving. Excuse me?
No, we have,
Oh, okay, I missed one. Community development, we've got award of contract.
yeah, Mr. President, I make a motion to award a 3-year contract for Campus Park landscape maintenance to the lowest qualified bidder, SRI LLC, contract expiring 2027.
Second.
So we've got a motion and a second on the SRI agreement. This is something that we just had a discussion over, a fairly lengthy discussion.
Very lengthy. It's important.
In the committee of the whole meeting. Any other thoughts on this? We've got George here to speak to it again. I don't think we have to.
We don't have to, no. He had multiple, I think the fact is, there were multiple bidders on it, and through to a municipal bidding process, we took the low bidder. And we have experience with them in the village, so George was confident that they would be able to fulfill their mission.
Okay, so I'll just, well, it's a contract, so let's just do roll call.
Karas.
Aye.
Anastasio.
Aye.
Bhatia.
Aye.
Venturini.
Aye.
Washburn.
Aye.
Doxy.
Aye.
DeGroot.
Aye, that motion carries. So now we can get down to Public Works, where we've got a paving program.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to award the contract for the 2025 paving program to the low bidder, Payne and Dolan, Inc., in the amount of $3,719,672.85.
Second.
So I hear a motion and a second. Tony, would you give us the cliff notes on this? I think that we did hear about this in a previous committee of the whole, but I know that this is something that Public Works takes a very close look at.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So we opened bids for the 25 program on Thursday, April 3rd. We got 4 bidders. They were all fairly close to the engineer's estimate, so good bids. And the breakdown roughly is as follows. Roads is about $3 million of the low bids, $3.7 million contract. Our utilities are about $220,000. There's some TID 4 funding of about $130,000. That's for sidewalk installation. out near Highway 20 and the frontage road. There's about 100,000 in building capital, and that is to resurface the west and south sides of the PD parking lot over here. And then finally, there's about 230,000 in developer costs for new subdivision roads. Again, the low bid is in order, in our opinion, and we recommend approval.
Any thoughts from board?
Pretty clear process.
No.
I did notice that the engineer's estimate was very close to what the winning bid was too, and a couple of the bids were in that same bracket, so it's good to see that, we're in the ballpark.
Just for our edification, Tony, when the paving program starts, do the residents get any kind of notification beforehand that, their street is gonna be disrupted and there's a process that's gonna unfold in front of them?
They do as much as we can. We have form letters that we send out, not only to like an urban section, but a rural section, because you have different activities that occur. So we send that out well in advance. We don't give them an exact timeline, because that's up to the contractor to determine, but, we tell them in the coming months, we'll be out there, it'll probably take a week or two, and then we'll be out of there.
Well, I think people generally like the idea that their street has been picked, for repaving and remanufacturing. But they also want to have some kind of notification of when to expect it. Thank you. For the 2025 paving program, roll call vote.
Karas.
Aye.
Anastasio.
Aye.
Bhatia.
Aye.
Venturini.
Aye.
Washburn.
Aye.
Doxy.
Aye.
DeGroot.
Aye. So that motion carries. So let's go on to the second item, which is Village Code of Ordinances regarding filling of lands.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 3-2025, amending chapter 71 of the Village Code of Ordinances related to the filling of lands.
Second.
So I hear a motion and a second. Tony, if we can just go back to you for a minute.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Just briefly, this was essentially a cleanup exercise to eliminate the word leveling within the fill permit ordinance language. Leveling tends to mean, spreading out, whereas typically these permits are actually filling, grading, berming, whatever it may be. So we wanted to change that to be more grading than leveling per se. So really just a cleanup item.
Okay, if everybody's good with that, I'll call the vote regarding ordinance 3-2025. Roll call, please.
Karas.
Aye.
Anastasio.
Aye.
Bhatia.
Aye.
Venturini.
Aye.
Washburn.
Aye.
Doxy.
Aye.
DeGroot.
Aye, motion carries. So then we have item C, which is accepting of a roadway.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 5-2025, a resolution accepting public highways or roadways as presented.
Second.
So I hear a motion and a second. Back to Tony.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So just briefly, this is the section of Oaks Road that got built off of Highway 31 south of the KR and was extended west to essentially serve that new Pike River Crossing subdivision. This normally would have went at the end of the year for acceptance, but there's some legal issues that had to be worked out between the two property owners before we could formally accept it. So it's coming to you now.
I drove into that subdivision Saturday when we were coming back from a meeting in Kenosha, and boy, the houses are popping up now. They've got their model open. They've got the model for the what do you call them, twin dominium type buildings going. Chit-chatted with the sales agents for a while, and that little subdivision is waking up.
And that, just to back that up, one of the things that I really dove into their restrictive covenants, because the 2 units there in Pike River are the first ones to use our zoning code, which is what we really are trying to talk to the people that were here a couple weeks ago with theirs. And it has, each unit is on its own express lot. So you have a 2-unit, unlike we normally see or are used to seeing on maybe a condo plat with open space. Each one has their own lot. And I really wanted to dive into and make sure that those restrictive covenants were, you know, everything that I was hoping they would be, and they are. There's immediate reserves for roofs, there's lawn care that's in play. So they own their own land, but it's the first time we've seen our code used in that way. And it's a great situation, and hopefully they will do well. The buildings look nice, and be nice to see when they get the trees out there, and they've been planting away, so.
Yeah, and Oaks Road looks good going through there. Okay. That being what it may be, regarding Resolution 5-2025, roll call, please.
Carrot.
Aye.
Anastasio.
Aye.
Bhatia.
Aye.
Venturini.
Aye.
Washburn.
Aye.
Doxy.
Aye.
DeGroot.
Aye. Motion carries. So then we have item D, which is adopting stormwater permit fees.
Yes, sir, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 6-2025, a resolution adopting stormwater permit fees for the Village of Mount Pleasant.
Second.
So I hear a motion and a second. Any insight from Tony?
Yeah, just briefly, and for everybody's information, our stormwater permit is essentially the local version of the DNR's land disturbance permit. So because of that, we set these fees up to essentially mirror their structure, whereas as you increase in acreage, you see a similar increase in the fee.
Reference, what were the fees before this increase?
This permit never had a fee.
I'm sorry?
This permit never had a fee prior to
Oh,
this.
okay.
And I think, you know, when we talk about the stormwater permit fees, one of the things we have to realize is everybody that has a stormwater permit in the village prior to this that didn't pay a fee, those permit areas are inspected by our staff on a regular basis, just like the DNR permits after a rain event, and certainly once, I think the village goes out once a month for sure, or more, depending on rain events and so forth. So we are using staff time to monitor them and manage them, and we're one of the few villages that did not have a fee for that type of permit.
Okay, so regarding Resolution 6-2025, roll call, please.
Karas.
Aye.
Anastasio.
Aye.
Bhatia.
Aye.
Venturini.
Aye.
Washburn.
Aye.
Doxy.
Aye.
DeGroot.
Aye. Motion carries. So let's go on to the item E, which is refuse and recycling contract.
That's right, sir. We want to keep our village clean, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed 2-year extension to the refuse and recycling contract with GFL with the changes to the annual contract increases as duly noted.
Second.
So there's a motion and a second. Back to Tony.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So our 5-year contract with GFL is set to expire at the end of the year. There is a clause in that contract that allows for a 2-year or 5-year extension if amenable to both parties. So, as you can see, we've pursued negotiating a 2-year extension with GFL. And the one noted change is related to the annual increase, which the contract now calls for a minimum 2% increase. That would change potentially to a minimum 2.5% increase. And the cap, which is tied to the consumer price index, in the current contract is at 4%. That would increase to 5%, but only if the consumer price index hit that point or was above that.
As far as you know, everybody's happy with the provider still?
Things were a little dicier, I'd say, in the beginning when Advanced Disposal was acquired by GFL.
Right.
But that has ironed itself out, and we're actually very happy with the level of customer service and how responsive GFL's customer service division is to our residents. Our calls have gone way down over the last several years.
That's happy news.
Yes, I haven't heard any complaint, yeah.
I think we all, or most of us had received some calls from constituents that when there were issues in the beginning. I haven't heard anything for quite a while.
That's correct.
Okay, so there's a motion to approve the contract extension. Roll call, please.
Karas,
Aye.
Anastasio,
Aye.
Bhatia,
Aye.
Venturini,
Aye.
Washburn,
Aye.
Doxey,
Aye.
DeGroot.
Aye, that motion carries. Reports, we've got a fair representation of village staff here. Did anybody, want to share anything noteworthy that you think the board should be aware of? If not, okay, but don't be shy.
Oh, they're shy.
What do we have for music this summer?
Matt, do we want to mention about the website going live on Friday?
Matt, you want to mic up if you can?
So we'll give you that little tidbit. The tourism did do a update on the website. We switched vendors and went back under Civic Plus, just so you're aware. So it's a little bit more streamlined. It falls under the archiving and all that. So the new tourism website is up and running as of last week Friday. It is a work in progress. Our goal is to have more of an announcement publicly wise by June, in order to kind of get some more stuff on the back end taken care of.
Okay.
I do think I remember seeing, if you wanted to know what musical acts were going to be there, you were notified if you, signed up on Facebook? Was that it?
So yes, we'll be doing we'll be doing a launch with what bands we have coming up on Facebook. We also have the capabilities now under the new website that we will, once the dates and bands are announced, we'll be able to push that out to the general public that way through the notification center on the website.
Okay. Anything from trustees?
Yeah, Mr. President, I do have something. Last Saturday, we attended the dual county meeting of Racine and Kenosha County Board members, and as well as Racine and Kenosha various municipal trustees and board members. And it was very well attended. It was a very good event, and it was held at the Pritzker Museum, which is it's very pretty inside. The museum's interesting, and they are open for business. But one of the things that came out of that was the whole idea of being able to discuss things, and there was a lot of talk about the two sides coming together and so forth. And one of the things that I know a couple of other trustees have mentioned to me over time is we would love to see in our committee of the whole some kind of a line item that would allow us to put onto agendas for conversation something in an upcoming meeting. And I referenced Caledonia as one. Under new business, their last line item on their committee of the whole meeting agendas is suggested items to be placed on the next meeting agenda. And a lot of the times, in fact, tonight, before our COW meeting started, Trustee Karas was telling us how the person that had the people running into her house with the cars, how Public Works had taken some action on that. And that was a great thing to hear, but we don't always get to hear about the follow-up of things that come here to the village or calls we get. So anyway, I don't know if I would hope that I would have other trustees that would be backing me on this suggestion, but I would like to see something added to our COW meetings, just a line item that allows us as trustees to say, I really would like to talk about whatever. it may be something that ultimately, through that discussion at the next meeting, when it's on an agenda, gets referred to a committee, like Public Works, for that residence situation. But I just think it's something, sometimes we feel frustrated because we don't know how to get something on. It's difficult to get things on an agenda that we might like to hear about. I don't know if any of the other trustees have an
Mr.
interest in
President.
that, but,
Yes,
I'm sorry, we can't really discuss this at
see,
length.
we get told this all the time.
Well, I don't, Nancy, the law is the law.
Well, then
And
add
we
it to
can
the
put an
committee of the whole.
agenda item to discuss it, so the
There you
public then can know what you're discussing.
That would be
But if we're
true.
gonna have a discussion where some trustees wanna do this as a line item, some don't, the public has the right to know that you're discussing this.
Then that would be my request,
Yeah.
Attorney
Mr.
Smith, would be
President.
to,
I'd like to support the request from trustee Washburn, and, yeah, it could be any of the item like she said, but when we were at this bi-county meeting, there was a good presentation on the innovation grants. And that would be, I'd like to know, is the Mount Pleasant planning to apply for any of this grant? What project do we qualify? What projects are of interest? So there are items like that from time to time, I like to know. So I fully support that, and Attorney Chris, I appreciate, I know that I've been asking for that from, for a long time, and I do agree with you that it has to be on the agenda. So what trustee Washburn is proposing, and I'm backing up, is we put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
yeah.
So that is on the, so that is, it is on the agenda, it doesn't violate any law, but like I said, I'd like to know, for, in reference to this example, what are we doing about the innovation grant? What project do we have any qualification? Is there anything in the pipeline? These are the things, as a board member, I'd like to know.
So, that's all.
It's not on the agenda, I'm not discussing it.
Yeah, well, it's something to keep in mind as far as how we get these things agenda. Again, that's, that's where it starts getting knotty. But in any event, appreciate your thoughts. Just wanted to congratulate trustee Karas, trustee Nancy Washburn, and trustee Boccia on their re-election victory.
And President DeGroot.
And the same to you, yes.
Thank you. So one last motion.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. President.
Second?
Motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 We stand adjourned.